No, we haven't gone back in time. We are not in a 1980s computer store. It is 2017, and we are on the third floor of the museum in downtown Kitchener. And on the third floor, it has been transformed into what's called INTERPLAY. And behind INTERPLAY is Sid Bolton. Sid, thanks for having us in today.
No problem, Mark.
What is INTERPLAY?
So INTERPLAY is the celebration of the history of video games and computers starting back about 1975 or so. And so what we've done is we've put together sort of some of the highlights of technology from those years and let people come here to try them out and see what life was like living with computers and video games back in the 80s.
Okay, so you have your own museum in Brantford, which basically specializes in just this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so exactly. So in Brantford, we have the Personal Computer Museum. I've been out here many times and spoken to David about how we could work together, and the philosophy behind the museum has always been about the marriage of art and technology. And so that's really what this exhibit is about. So obviously the technology side you can see, but there's a lot of art that goes behind video games and computers for that matter, and all the software that goes with them. And so you really get a chance to see what that stuff is like when you come to the exhibit here.
So basically from this year until next May, you have this space here on the third floor at the museum, and you're showcasing just a few things that you already have in your Brantford museum. So you're showcasing only a very, very minimal of your collection, but it's still impressive.
It is a fraction, but we've also got some great things here, like the 80s computer store that we don't have in Brantford. We've got the Canadian technology exhibit and so many other things as well. So it is definitely a unique experience. Even if you've seen what we have in Brantford, you don't want to miss what we have here in Kitchener.
Okay, last question. What can people expect? Why should people come to INTERPLAY here at the museum?
Well, it's a chance for parents to show their kids maybe what technology they grew up with, maybe even a chance for them to beat them at a game of Pong or something else that they're better at. And it's also a great interactive experience. And so that's really what we want to promote here. Great for families. And so you should definitely come out and check it out. It's really, really cool.
Okay, well, there's lots to see here. Coming up, we're going to go in depth at the computer section, and we're also going to go in depth over at the video game section. Wow, how things have changed. This is a computer from 1975. This is the Altair, back with Sid Bolton at INTERPLAY at the museum in Kitchener. So this is one of the original computers, Sid.
This is actually the computer that Bill Gates and Paul Allen started Microsoft on. So they actually created a version of BASIC for this computer and built the company that we know today as Microsoft.
Well, there's not much to see. There's no screen, there's no keyboard, yet you say this is a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. Early computers didn't have cases sometimes. They didn't have keyboards. They didn't even have screens. And so that just shows you how much people wanted to do something with computers and how much they've changed over the years.
Okay, you have all kinds of different computers here, obviously from 1975. This is the Commodore PET from 1977.
Yeah, this was a really great educational computer. It was used in many, many schools. For me personally, growing up, I used it. It was an all-in-one computer with a keyboard and a screen, which again seems ridiculous because all computers tend to be that way today, but it certainly wasn't the case in 1977.
Atari, very popular,
yeah. And
right?
a lot of people know the Atari name for video games, but Atari also made a line of personal computers. This is the Atari 400. This was kid-friendly with a membrane keyboard so that if you spilled your pop on it or your milk, it was okay. The computer would hopefully survive.
This computer from 1980, I like what you've done here. It might be hard for our camera to see, but it says, in your backyard on CTV.
Exactly.
So, nice touch you did there.
Yeah, this is a computer that most people won't know. This is a Hitachi MB6890. But the thing that's interesting about this one is this is the actual computer that Microsoft used to develop BASIC for this computer. And although it wasn't very popular in North America, it's a very, very powerful computer from 1980, just showing the fact that just because a computer is good doesn't necessarily mean that it's popular.
Computers are changing quickly.
Yes.
When I say quickly, I mean quickly. Can you kind of try to put it into perspective for us?
We have a display here that actually shows how the evolution of storage has happened. So 1,000 3.5-inch floppy disks is roughly 1 gigabyte. So if you've got a 1 gigabyte USB stick, and you can't even buy those today, it just shows you how much storage has evolved over the years. So it's pretty amazing, actually.
And what do you expect going into the future? I mean, we've hit this amazing level of technology. It just has been rapidly growing. Does it continue to do that, or do we eventually peak? I mean, where does the future?
In some ways we have peaked, and you can sort of see that from the fact that a lot of these computers have the same features we have today, but I think computers will continue to get faster, smaller, and I think the wireless technology is going to be the real big improvements we see over the years.
Okay, so we have found a Commodore 64 here.
The most prolific computing device ever created, with about 20 million of these sold. You never see that again anytime today.
So anyone that comes to Interplay at the museum, they can play this for themselves. I'm playing Pac-Man. So this is a great spot to take the kids and also learn a lot about the history of computers. Well, we're going to play some other video games when CTV News at 5 returns. Ah, he's coming at me. Sid Bolton is the person behind Interplay at the museum in downtown Kitchener. And Sid, earlier you taught me all about old computers. Now we're talking about video games. And inside this glass case, you have all sorts of old video game consoles. Tell us about some of them.
So yeah, we've got some great stuff here. As Canada's top video game collector, I've managed to amass an awesome collection of all these old systems, including the Atari, the Fairchild Channel F, the Sega Master System, and so many more. The boxes are great because they tell a story of a certain point in time, which is, you know, part of what video games are all about, right? Is storytelling and other things like that.
I have found myself a video game over here. This is old school Pong, which you actually have here for kids and for parents to play while visiting Interplay at the museum. So there's all kinds of games to play here.
Yeah, there is. And, you know, games are a great way to sort of step back in time for yourself. They can have you do things that you just couldn't do on your own. I'm playing Space Invaders right now, which allows you to basically, you know, pilot a spaceship and take down aliens to save the Earth. So they're actually a great thing. And for a lot of people, you know, they remember these games fondly from their childhood. For me, Space Invaders was a great one. And I understand, Mark, that there might actually be a game here that is from your childhood, in fact.
Yes, I see it over here. We have Duck Hunt, and it's all queued up, ready to go. While we're walking over here, you just said that you were one of Canada's, or you are Canada's largest video game collector.
Yeah.
So to become Canada's largest video game collector, how many video games would you have?
So right now, my collection, I have 17,500 video games.
Whoa, 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 17,500 video games.
It's a lot of games.
That explains your love for video games.
Yeah,
it also explains this Interplay here at the museum, because you have so much to share.
It does. It ranges, my collection sort of starts in the 70s and goes right up to modern game systems today. And that's kind of like what we have here at the museum.
My target on Duck Hunt is still bang on, just so you know.
That's good. That's good. And I'm doing well with Sonic as well. So yeah, if you want to relive your childhood, come out to the museum, to the Interplay exhibit. We're here until May 2018. It's a great family-friendly thing to do. So I encourage everybody to come out and check it out.
Lots to see, lots to learn. Thanks so much for having us out today, Sid.
No problem, Mark.